Good morning, everyone. This is Dawn Richerson here in Taos, New Mexico. Beautiful. I'm enjoying a creative retreat and working with a few clients in my Your Essential Day retreats and painting and reading and writing, and it's just a marvelous place to do all of that. So I woke up this morning. The plan was to go to the Taos Pueblo Indian dance. They are doing a San Juan Pueblo feast day, which, as I understand it, has to do with buffalo and Comanche dances and then the famous corn dance. And the corn dance ties into the first thing I want to share in this video. But anyway, I woke up this morning and it was clear that I needed to stay here and paint some more. And I kept working on this painting, and I kept coming back to the painting that I painted last night, which was June 23rd, 2016. And let me just show you this painting so you can see here. And I want to share some about this painting and the vision that goes along with this painting. So this is sort of the scene out the front window, actually, minus the horses. Those are mine. But this is a dirt road that slopes, and it continuously reminds me of an angel form, and the clouds are just spectacular here. So often you'll look up and you'll just see forms in the clouds that are just beautiful and amazing. The light, the play of light here is just stupendous. And the desert has its own interesting color and texture and feeling. I've never been in the desert before, particularly not in the summer, so this is a new experience for me, which I'm really enjoying. So this morning, it was clear that I needed to continue to paint, and I kept coming back to this painting in the vision of these three horses. And I believe that this relates to a lot that's happening in our world right now. So I just wanted to talk that through a little bit. Sometimes I wonder why I make these videos, like three of you might watch, but you know what? I just feel like it's important for me, and so I'm going to speak to this today. The way that I just sort of talk through things, I call it soul streaming. I just sort of kind of gather up the threads as I'm feeling them and share them with you. So I hope that's useful to you. And if not, feel free to click off, and I'll catch you later and hope our paths cross at the appropriate time in a way that feels good for you. So the vision of the three horses. So what I really see this as more and more is that there's a lot of dissolution, dissolving, if you will, in our society and the world at large. That was reflected this morning in terms of a vote in the UK to separate from the EU. And that's certainly been evident in American politics. It's certainly been evident in many parts of the world with the refugee crisis and with many, many other things that are going on in various parts of the world, not to mention all of the communities of belonging to which we are connected with. So there's a lot of dissolution. There's a lot of disintegration, and there is a lot of dismantling going on. And so these three disses, the dissolution, dismantling, and disintegration, I believe offer an opportunity for us to begin to ride together, to ride forward together in confidence and grace, just as the horses do. If you really watch the horses, particularly when they're running free, there is a power and a conviction and a spirit about horses, and there is also a tenderness and a grace and a gentleness. And I believe those two are imperative right now in our collective unfolding in human history. And so these three horses, what appear to be dissolution, disintegration, and dismantling, I believe the solution is actually in this dissolution that we see going on everywhere. I believe the hidden wholeness is in the seeming fragmentation and the disintegration that we are witnessing everywhere. I believe that it is in the dismantling or the throwing off the mantle of what no longer serves that we are able to be revealed as the mysterious and wondrous beings that we are. We are, as we are right now, no matter how broken you feel, dynamic and sustainable systems. And we are intended to harness our inner energy and we are like that horse. We've got the power and the connection to an endless, infinite power source. We have that power. We have that conviction once we trust in life and trust in ourselves. And we also have the grace because we are held in an infinite grace. So I want to talk about these three things a little bit more. So as I mentioned, today is in the Pueblo community here in Taos is the San Juan Pueblo Feast today. And they do this corn dance. And that really relates to the first vision. I have three visions. These three horses remind me of the three visions I have for society. And the first is a vision of a new society rooted in wholeness and love. So the corn dance that the Pueblo do is a sacred offering to Spirit. It's blessing the cornfields with rain, and it's really an honoring of social responsibility, an honoring where all of the members come together for the good of the whole and the collective. And I'll share a link so you can read a little bit more about that. From a source I was reading, that when this community decides to sing, or the individuals within the community decide to sing or dance or really participate in this communal performance, this dance, this ritual, you are demonstrating your belonging to the cohesive social group, and you are showing up fully. And they sing a really beautiful song, a lyric I'd like to share with you. It says, "Oh, our mother, the earth. Oh, our father, the sky. Your children are we, and with tired backs we bring you the gifts that you love. Then weave for us a garment of brightness. May the warp be the white light of morning. May the weft be the red light of evening. May the fringes be the falling rain. May the border be the standing rainbow. Thus weave for us a garment of brightness, that we may walk fittingly where birds sing, that we may walk fittingly where grass is green. Oh, our Mother Earth. Oh, our Father, the sky." Isn't that beautiful? So I'm going to come back to that idea of the fringes in just a moment. Actually, let me just move into that now. So the second vision, so the first vision that I have, this first horse, this dissolution that's going on around us everywhere, I believe we can choose within that dissolution to see the solution as the vision of a new society rooted in wholeness and love. So the second vision that I have is of a new society that is risen with healing in its wings. And that phrase, healing in its wings, comes from a longtime favorite verse in the Old Testament of the Christian Bible that says, "But for you who revere my name, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings," or healing in its rays, "and you will go out and frolic like well-fed calves." That is Malachi chapter 4, verse 2. So earlier in the book of Malachi was an Old Testament prophet. There are many passages that refer to this idea of a burning sun, and a sun that consumes, and a fire that destroys. And so it's a lot of destructive energy. And so when we think about this verse and the Son of Righteousness, that's S-U-N in Malachi, the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings and in its rays, and you will go out and frolic like well-fed calves. I don't know about you, but that idea of frolicking like well-fed calves, I mean, how beautiful is that, the innocence of that picture? And yet we find ourselves in a time period where it certainly doesn't look like that. It looks like complete chaos. It looks like madness. It has many of us questioning, do we even want to be a part of this anymore? Like, maybe I just want to opt out. Maybe I want to move to a different country, and it feels hopeless at times. And yet there is this hope that the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in its wings. So I want to talk a little bit about this, because as I was reading at one point online, I discovered that the Hebrew word that Malachi uses is also often translated wings, but the actual word, which is kanaph, K-A-N-A-P-H, is a feminine noun that is a very strong noun that can mean various things, including wing or extremity, edge, border, or the corner of a skirt, the fringe of a garment. And that calls to mind one of my favorite stories in the New Testament about Jesus. And Jesus is walking through a village, and a woman comes up and touches the fringes of his garment. And she's been bleeding for, many, many years. She's hemorrhaging and this issue of blood, and it feels like her suffering is endless. and like there can be no healing. And she just out of desperation touches the hem of his garment. And Jesus says, "Who touched me?" Because he felt the power go out of him. And everyone says, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." And Peter, pipes up and says, "Hey, Jesus, like the people are crowding all around you and pressing against you." But Jesus just stands firm and he says, "Someone touched me." And the woman who had touched him saw that Jesus knew the truth, and she came afraid and fell at his feet. And she said, "Master, here's why I touched you." And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace." So what I want to say here is that in the midst of this chaos, in the dissolution and the disarray and the complete and utter chaos, the disintegration, we need not be afraid of the burning sun that seems to be consuming all that we value and all that we hold dear. And may we just dare to touch the healing that is here for us. There is a healing rising right now, even in this circumstance that seems to speak only to separation and division and further disintegration. And we seem to be going in the opposite direction of what we want. And yet, one of these horses here, one of these horses is the opportunity for us to return to a new society, to walk in the way of wholeness individually and collectively, and to return to a new society that is risen with healing in its wings so that we can be like those little calves frolicking again. And I believe we will. I believe we will. Third thing I want to speak to is the third horse in my vision of the three horses would be the horse of dismantling, the taking apart of so much, some which has needed to be taken apart, and we see that, and has been placed, a yoke that's been placed upon us wrongly. In other cases, and we all have varying opinions about what these things are, so I'm not going to speak to those directly, but that's one example. Another of the dismantling is just our waking up from the illusion that we are these powerless beings that must beg for assistance from outside of ourselves, from external sources, rather than simply wearing the mantle that is our birthright, and that is the mantle of grace and peace. That is the mantle of love. It is the mantle of the light and life and love we are. And so this third horse in my painting here, the third horse reminds me of my third vision for humanity and for a new society. And that is, I have a vision for a new society that is restored to truth and beauty. And that begins with a dream inside our hearts. Sorry, I got a bug. A bug. That's appropriate. That won't leave me alone here. It's like, and that's what we feel like, isn't it? Like there's this nuisance. It just keeps coming back. All this craziness, right? Many of us are on this path to really being the light that we know ourselves to be, and yet we keep getting distracted with all the bugs and all of the ridiculous things that are playing out all around us, and sometimes very tragic things. So this vision, this third horse, I see as a vision of a new society restored to truth and beauty that begins with a dream, and that dream lives inside each one of us. That dream is who you are. You brought that dream here. You carry those sacred seeds of essence that are that dream, and that dream is asking to be given its wings, to be given its life, to come forward, to spring forth like a river of miracles. And that dream lives inside of our hearts, and it needs to be kindled individually, and then eventually raised like lighted candles as the sun sinks low in the sky in our world. And so this is my hope, and this is my vision for a new society. And speaking to that third idea of the restoration of truth and beauty and the wholeness of who we are, I want to leave you with the words that I woke up thinking, a song that we all know and many of us love, and some of us perhaps not. But these words were written by John Lennon, and just imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion, too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger or brotherhood, a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. So I'll leave you with my painting again. This is called At Sunset We Ride, and it was painted on June 23rd, 2016. This is I choose a theme for the year every year, and this year I'm focusing all of my creative projects around the play of light. And we are a beautiful play of light, and sometimes it can look a little bit disjointed, and we can feel the dissolution, and we can feel the disintegration, and we can feel the dismantling, and we're not sure where it's all going. And that is the opportunity to return to the light we are, to return to the life we are, and to return to the love we are. And in so doing, that is how this vision for a whole new way forward is going to come into reality. The more and more of us who choose to say yes to the wholeness of who we are, and to begin with love, to begin with light, to begin with life, the more that we will have and belong to and see this new way of seeing the world and our communities of belonging, this new way of being in those communities, and a new way of freeing ourselves within our joining to the collective. And I believe these three horses represent this vision that is coming into fruition despite all of the madness and chaos. And that is a vision of a society that is rooted in wholeness and love, and a society that is risen with healing in its wings. And finally, a society restored to truth and beauty, because each of us brings our own unique play of light forward and shares it with each other, with one another. So today, consider how it is you might kindle that light within you, and how it is you might share whatever you have to offer. Thanks so much for being with me. Much love to all of you, and see you next time I get inspired to do one of these. Take care.